Hey, this is Claude Miles from Concave, and you're listening to 5-Year Mission, the podcast on the Trek Geeks Network.
Coconut.
5-Year Mission, the podcast, episode 17.
This episode of 5-Year Mission, the podcast, is brought to you by Fansets, your home for all things pop culture pin related. Head over to fansets.com and see all that they have to offer. And also stay tuned at the end of the episode for a very special offer from us here at 5-Year Mission.
By now you figured out that this is the 5-Year Mission podcast.
Welcome to 5-Year Mission podcast.
That was completely unrehearsed.
That was almost a little too good, though.
I know.
So anyway, we didn't actually get together to do a podcast this week. We're just getting together just to do the intro and the outro because we recorded this. When was this, Mike?
The end of February.
Last weekend of February.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was live from Bowling Green. I almost said Greensburg, Kentucky. From Bowling Green, Kentucky at Concave, probably our favorite convention of the year that we've been doing for the past, I think it's 7 years now, 6 or 7 maybe now.
I think it's 7, yeah.
Okay, yeah. It sucks because normally we'd be going and doing summer Concave.
Yeah, that would have been this month.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be like because last year it was like the weekend of the 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had driven all the way to Richmond, Virginia to go see a Veil and then back to do a show. And then it was my girlfriend's birthday the following day.
Yep.
So not doing that this year because we are still social distancing and we are still, now it's mandated. You have to wear masks where we live in Marion County, Indiana.
Yep. I think that's good.
No, it's fantastic.
I think that should have happened 2 months ago.
4 months ago.
Yeah.
Should have been on it nationwide back in March.
Yeah. We're not a smart country.
Speaking of smart, we had the bright idea a while ago to bring back the What Are Little Songs Made Of series that we started over on the Tricorder Transmissions network of podcasts, and basically stole ourselves from them.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. It works.
Yeah.
But next in line, it was for...
Tomorrow is yesterday.
Tomorrow's yesterday, the famous astronaut Air Force space episode.
Time travel.
Yeah, where Kirk swings from a doorway and drop kicks a bunch of dudes.
It does have a pretty fantastic fight scene.
Yeah, I'm always more fascinated at close quarters fight scenes.
Yeah,
but it's made even better when it's a close quarters Kirk fight scene because he like bumps people with his butt and swings from doorways and launches off of walls.
I'm sure I mentioned this when we talk about it in the episode, but I gotta say again, this is one of my favorite Kirk fight scenes because there's one part where he just like throws himself into 3 guys and knocks them down. Just
like sideways. He like launches himself sideways. So dumb.
And of course, all 3 guys are knocked out by this.
Oh yeah, they're just like human military's dominoes. Oh my gosh! So this was recorded all in a hotel room. I think we had 2 microphones going, and then we were sitting on beds.
I set up 2 microphones, but.
And then what happened?
It was concave, so I wasn't thinking entirely straight.
We drink a little too much at Concave, and Drinky Mike is not always the most cognizant of drinkies.
Both microphones were going, but they were into the same channel, so we really only have 1 recording.
So in other words, we apologize in advance for the crappy audio.
Yeah.
And that's why we're getting together to do this intro.
Yeah.
So we're not going to mess around anymore. Without further ado, let's hop into this slightly drunken conversation. I think this was right before we played a show that night.
Yes, we played at 10 and we recorded this around 8.
Oh, wow. We were really cutting it close that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Patrick was trying to take a nap before the show and we woke him up to do this. So Patrick's on this episode.
I was going to do the same thing. I know it's a Patrick episode because it's Patrick's song.
Yeah.
So of course we had to have the guy that wrote the song in it. So enjoy a Patrick episode. Episode of 5-Year Mission, the podcast. This is going to be another edition of What Are Little Songs Made Of that we started over on the tricorder transmissions years ago and decided to finally get it back up and running now that we have our own podcast. So we're recording live from Concave 41 in Bowling Green, Kentucky, where we're playing a show here in, 2 hours?
Ish.
3
hours.
2 hours and, 3 hours and 12 minutes. We go on stage.
Not that we're keeping track.
I certainly am, because there's still dinner to eat beforehand.
There is something extra special about this particular episode.
That all 5 of us are here?
Yes.
Yeah.
For the first time.
The first time ever.
Yeah, it's a
5-year mission, the podcast with
5-year mission.
Year missions.
Yeah.
all 5 of the missions.
Yeah.
Missionaries.
So now we are landing on the episode Tomorrow is Yesterday, which is definitely a classic episode of TOS and a classic 5-Year Mission song, written by first-time 5-Year Mission the podcast guest, Patrick O'Connor.
First time?
It is first time outside of episode 0.
Oh, it's 0.
He was on episode 0.
You're not counting 0.
We were all on episode 0, but we weren't all together on
right.
episode 0 because Chris sucks.
Wow, that came out of nowhere. Why did I suck?
Because you weren't there for the initial...
Why wasn't I there?
Yeah, no, you didn't come to practice that day.
There's a reason.
Probably.
I'm sure.
Next.
I made up for it since then. So let's talk about the episode.
Okay, Coco.
What did we talk? I don't remember what we called Mike.
Yeah, I know, and I'm not going to remind you.
Okay.
All right.
Tomorrow's yesterday.
So we're discussing the episode first?
Yeah, Patrick.
We can go back and forth, however it flows.
Naturally.
So you wrote the song.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the episode, it was just one that I knew right from the beginning when we first started working on the project together that it was one that I wanted to do because I had an idea for it. And also, it was one of my favorite episodes growing up. I like how it sort of broke with the usual formula, where it didn't start with a stock shot of the Enterprise flying through space. It started in what was then modern day 1960s, with it on the Air Force radar. And you're just wondering, wow, what's going on here?
Also, other than that little snippet at the end of The Naked Time, it's the first actual Star Trek time travel episode.
That's true, yeah.
Literal
The whole
time.
slingshot effect thing, I don't know about that. The science on that is very sound.
It's Roddenberry's science, so it's fine. He started a thing.
How did they time travel in that episode? I don't remember.
They shot around the sun
Did they shoot around the sun?
By accident at first, right?
at first, and then they had to figure out
because they like wake up on the bridge and they're floating like they're in orbit on Earth.
Amongst the clouds.
So the slingshot method.
Yeah. And I don't know why every time
slingshot effect.
Whatever.
you
That's the preferred
say it in
nomenclature.
your song.
I know, but it just never mind.
Yeah, one thing I never understood is when they first go back, they're in every episode that they use the slingshot thing.
Yeah.
Like they wake up like, oh, I'm all groggy. I don't know what just happened. Where are we? What year is it? But at the end, when they resolve everything and they go back to their own time, there's no problem. There's no jet lag. They just go.
Jet lag.
Maybe they just skipped over that part for the sake of ending the episode.
Yeah.
and not having people waiting around wondering what happened.
Well, we can't wait for the crew to wake up. Let's just get to the end of the episode, guys. Come on.
Time travel is always worse when you go back than when you go forward.
Yeah.
And it really,
From all your time travel experience.
It's like flying east versus flying west.
the worst thing about time travel is how it screws up the verb tense. You know, like will had having been. It's just
That's
very confusing.
That sounds like a weird like rich villain's name.
Will have had having been.
Yeah. I see you fell into my trap. Will have having been.
So
Will have had having been.
Played by Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's right.
that's
My back teen cucumber sandwich.
So this episode starts with Captain John Christopher, whose name I will never forget.
U.S.
I wonder
Air
why that
Force.
is.
So I will never
Serial
remember the
4,
string
5,
of numbers.
3, 2, 5, 6, 7, 0, 9.
4, 8,
8675309.
Yeah.
Yeah.
555 1 2.
I can only remember when I sing it. When I hear it, like hear it
Serial
is-
4857932.
Yeah.
Bluejay 4.
Sometimes live I try to match the numbers with my hands, but I can never.
Oh yeah.
I can never do it because I'm playing the.
You should concentrate on what you're playing.
I'm
though.
doing the
Please.
one-handed keyboard. I got my other hand free.
You're a bad influence on him.
Yeah. Mike taught me how to use my other hand, my free hand.
You
on the
gotta use that
keyboard.
other hand to
you use it
entertain
for
the
something,
audience.
Yeah.
Wow, that was disgusting.
Is that the name of my sex tape?
Absolutely, it is now. You gotta use the other hand.
Army
to
Ninja.
entertain the
Use
audience.
Jack.
the other hand to entertain the audience.
Check, please.
Back to the episode. Back to the lecture at hand.
So, on year one, I don't know about you guys, but I pretty much sort of threw things at the wall to see what stuck. And just had a good time writing stuff and recording stuff. And then I felt like when we got to year two, we sort of branched out a bit and tried to do something a little more interesting musically or a little more thoughtful as far as the arrangement. Mm-hmm. And this was kind of the song that started that. Where, you know, it actually had different sections to the song. Like the main part of the song was completely different from the opening and the close of the song.
Yeah.
And since the episode was set in the 1960s, I was very aware I was trying to make something that sounded like it could have been done in the 60s, especially the opening and the ending of the song.
Yeah.
So we have the opening part, which describes what happens at the beginning of the episode, after they've gone back into time in the episode, and then when events are sort of fixed by the Enterprise crew, then we have the same scenario at the end of the episode, except they don't spot the Enterprise. And so that's the idea behind the song, was to have it repeat the intro and have it be changed at the end. So we have that rewind sound effect, and that was very much sort of like a revolver tape loop kind of idea. Like I wanted it to be sort of that mid-60s sort of feel with that.
Yeah. I remember when I heard the demo and it got to the end, I was really excited to hear that, and I thought it was a cool idea.
It's clever. Yeah.
And that was I think the first one we ever did, where because normally we would draw, we had the process that sort of went on as we figured out what we wanted to do best to choose songs, but that one I traded with Mike because I had an idea for it and really wanted to do that particular episode.
What did you trade me for?
Errand of Mercy.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, that's fine.
That
And
worked
Errand
out.
of Mercy may be a better episode, but I had a idea for this one that I really wanted to do. So
Yeah.
I always really liked. I remember hearing the demo, and it had the tag there that was like the beginning, but it just had that one, that little
line is different.
alteration.
Yeah.
I always thought that was really cool.
And then it's just over.
I just thought that was a really interesting choice, because a lot of the songs we do have that literal aspect to them.
Yeah.
But this one it just fits so well. It had that literal aspect, but it just fits so well. I thought it was really cool.
This might have been the first one. This might have been the first one that I wrote too, where I was thinking about the feel of the episode, because I really got more into that on year 2 and 3. and later on. Whereas the first one, I was just trying different stuff to see what worked. But I think on this particular album, definitely was going for the capturing the feel of the episode or the mood of the episode.
Did the
song.
When you were writing it, was it one of those that just came out, or was it difficult to?
No, it came out really pretty quickly. Yeah, I had to figure out what I wanted to do as far as that backwards tape thing, that kind of stuff. And we went back and forth about how long we wanted the tape to rewind.
Yeah.
And at first it was like 30 seconds long, and then we cut it down to like 20 seconds, and then we cut it down to like 10 seconds. They're like, still too long.
I don't know. I think I was pushing for it to be
Longer.
Not longer than 20 or 30 seconds.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Yeah, because it would get monotonous if it went too much longer than
The
it did.
entire song in reverse.
When
Came out in mixes, didn't it?
Yes.
Because I remember. I feel like I remember.
Yes, that was like the last thing we changed, I'm pretty sure.
when we were recording year 2 and I was mixing it, this is when I worked overnight at the hotel.
Oh yeah.
And
right.
I know one night I spent I think the whole night working on that alone, like for like 5 or 6 hours, just playing with different sounds and different ways to do it. Mm-hmm. And I probably came up with like a 20 to 30 second long one that sounded really cool, and I'm like, it's got to be that.
And then you remembered that it was like the middle of the night and you'd listened to it 100 times.
That's also, I think this is the song that I had spent all that time working on it, and then that computer like died in the middle of mixing this album, and I had lost a few things, and I thought I had lost that entire night's work. Mm-hmm. And I luckily found it on something else that I had backed up a couple within those few days. So
when we were backing that up to like a cloud thing, or were we backing it up to a hard drive?
I think I was just backing it up, like copying it manually, like
we were like burning discs,
burning discs,
PCs.
and copying them to another computer.
Yeah.
So luckily I had done it, because it was a lot of work.
It turned out really good.
Yeah.
The 5 seconds of it turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
I think we made the right decision to make it short.
Yes.
Actually, it is the song that you hear in reverse, but I actually used the demo.
Oh, really?
Instead of the song.
I never knew that.
Yeah, because when I used the actual song the first few times working on it, and it was just so noisy and messy, it didn't sound like something in reverse.
Right.
Yeah.
So I actually just used the demo instead, and it sounded like the song being rewound.
Yeah.
So,
Oh.
yeah.
Interesting tidbit that we did not know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that something that? I mean, were you just, trying stuff, and that?
It was.
Did you have an idea?
It
that
was
might work
like
better?
4:45 in the morning at the La Quinta Inn. I was willing to try anything.
So when we release year 2 on vinyl, we'll go ahead and include the full 30-second version of the album.
Yeah, when
Make it
we
special.
put out the entire catalog on vinyl in one collection, that's like $1,000 per copy.
Yeah.
It'll have an extra like 15 seconds of
Rewind.
Tomorrow's Yesterday.
Awesome.
We'll put that right on the cover.
Previously on
Extra 15 seconds.
So technically, you could slow that way down and reverse it and hear part of the demo.
No, it'll be like a message from Satan.
Well, we'll mix that in.
At that
obviously.
point, it will.
Hey kids, eat your vegetables. This is Satan.
I think this might be the first song that I got to really experiment with lead guitar on.
I was going to mention I really like your lead guitar on that.
I did some lead on a couple of the year 1 songs, but it was a little more basic. Like I did Charlie X.
Right.
I'm trying to think of anything else that had like an actual like lead guitar, not just like,
I think we on year 2 especially, we just kind of allowed ourselves the extra time to experiment more. Mm-hmm. I did those harmony guitars on the beginning of the song too, which of course we never do live, but they're layered on the intro and outro of the song.
Yeah.
But I kind of forget about them because we never play it that way, but then when I hear the recording I was like, oh yeah, those harmony guitars are on there.
And just like most Patrick songs, the demo was missing the section that had the lead part on it. and I suggested, hey, let's extend that so I can play something.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because just like with Charlie X and a couple other ones, I can't think of them right now, but you on your demo, I think you went straight into that next part. And,
Oh, yeah.
And I asked if we could.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
But that makes sense.
I think this was the second song that I played bass on, because I played bass on the Cage on year one. I don't think I played bass on anything
Enemy
else.
Within.
Oh yeah, but that one was.
We just kind of made that up as we recorded it and we forgot it.
Yeah, and then the Cage we played all the time, but then we did Tomorrow's Yesterday. It's the first bass line I had that wasn't just
Following the chords.
Yeah, it wasn't just like the root notes, so I actually got to move her. I mean, and that was early on when I was just first picking up the bass. So, I mean, and then we went on to Aaron of Mercy was on that album too. So
Yeah.
I tried to stretch myself on bass, but but Tomorrow's Yesterday was the first one that I actually got to do, and that was, I think that's where I started really liking to play the bass when we started doing that. And I got to do a lot of good harmonies on that one too.
Yeah, that was fun. I like how those turned out. And also our demos used to be very simple, and we've started doing more and more complex demos.
We're all looking in Noah's direction.
No,
I was looking in Noah's direction because he wasn't paying attention.
no one's fully realized songs, aka demos.
And you'll hear some of mine like that pretty soon for year 5.
Not mine. You're stuck with the acoustic guitar and mumbling words
Yeah.
in the background.
Back to the episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of my favorite fight scenes is in this episode.
In the office.
Yeah, but when there's like 3 guys and Kirk throws himself into all 3, knocking them out.
Just hurls himself.
Swinging from a doorway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the episode, and I could be wrong, but and there's probably multiple episodes that this happens, but there's a fight scene and Kirk is like away from where the action is, and they've got guns or something. And instead of like rolling to cover, he rolls towards them, stands up in like open view of everybody, and then goes after him. Or like, it's like, why did you do that?
It's like those old swashbuckling movies where the guy gets knocked down and he pops up and is like, ha ha!
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah. So that's a fun
Another
fun fight scene.
Another demonstration of Kirk Fu.
Speaking of Kirk, there was another nuance in writing this song, which we talked about before, with one of the opening lines of the rock section of the song, because we did record this in sections too. I think it's probably the first time we did that.
Yeah, we did.
But going into the rock part, the opening lines are Little Green Men from Alpha Centauri. Which in the episode, William Shatner flubs the line and says Alpha Century.
Yeah.
And so I looked up the script, and the script says Alpha Centauri. So I had to debate which way to do it. And I think I ended up doing it to be a little obscure, so you couldn't quite tell. But Alpha Centauri is what it's supposed to be.
There's a few times like that in Star Trek where they mispronounce a word and you have to decide what you wanted.
Yes.
What you wanted to say.
But we really do take the time to consider those things. We're that dorky.
There was the episode we just recently talked about where they said quasar 3 different ways in the same episode.
Yeah.
Quasar?
Quasar, and quasar. It's like, can we come to a consensus?
Well, they had that problem with the Mugato as well.
Oh, yes.
Like no one could get it right. Well, that's why they called it the Mugato, because it was something else. But
DeForest Kelley couldn't
say it, and so they had to change it. And then Shatner kept calling it Mugatu. And so, like, if you watch that episode, there's they say it at least 3 different ways.
Yeah, I think even in the credits it's spelled different than what
it
they
might
said.
be.
Yeah,
it might be. Yeah, is so. Tomorrow's Yesterday, is that the first episode where they are in where they go down to
modern
just
day.
Earth, where it's modern day?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's definitely the first episode they go to modern day Earth.
Yeah.
But I think it's the first episode where they go to Earth.
Earth, period.
Yeah, okay, that's why, because, I mean, City on the Edge of Forever, they go to Earth.
Earth exists!
And they go there.
But that's after the episode.
Yeah, right. But it's just, that was the first one that I...
Well, it was kind of interesting that the first time they wind up going to Earth in the series is to the military, and considering the time that this was airing, like everything was military based and everything. So it was kind of neat to be able to see like they're not at war; they're just running like exercises around like the U.S. and it's like all of a sudden there's a UFO.
Right? How would the Air Force react if that happened? You know, it seems fairly logical.
Was that so? I don't remember when was Area 51 and that whole thing.
47.
47.
Patrick's on it. I was about to look it up.
So
because from Little Green Men, I'll always remember it because of that episode.
Oh yeah, the dead DS9 episode.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's funny because I wonder. You have to wonder if that is. I mean, I know it was 20 years later, but it's interesting to think. You know, I would have to assume that was influential on that. You know, just like the reaction and
right.
how, you know, what they would do.
Like they had some kind of things, steps set in place.
Yeah.
A protocol for what to do when that happens. Yeah. Because it must have happened before at some point.
I think it would have been more interesting had Area 51 happen after, like that whole, you know, and then it would have
kind of predicted almost.
Yeah.
You heard it here first. The Enterprise was just a weather balloon.
What I loved about this episode is that they kind of thumbed their noses almost at the Prime Directive. They kind of figured out a workaround because initially they were like, "Yeah, this guy cannot go back to Earth because he knows too much.
Right.
And he saw us and he's been on our ship now.
Yeah.
But then like Spock starts doing research and everything, and they find out, well, he's gonna have a son that's gonna be the first one to go to Mars. So he."
Really has to go back.
He has to go back and have them babies. It's like, that's like the whole Prime Directive, Schmime Directive.
Well, they did take a pretty big chance.
They took a huge
Have
chance.
they mentioned the Prime Directive at this point in the series?
I am not sure.
I don't recall. They may even mention it in this episode.
Oh, you think so?
I don't know that it's explicit.
I don't know if they call it that, but
yeah,
the first few times they call it something a little different.
I think it's more, they're talking more ethically speaking.
Yeah.
Right, and Spock is concerned about them changing things that shouldn't be changed.
Yeah.
Right.
But but when they leave them there, and they're just basically, they're hoping that this plan that they have works, because if it doesn't, there's nothing, like they can't do anything to change it because they'll be gone.
Yeah, I just looked it up on Memory Alpha, and the first mention of the Prime Directive happened in the Return of the Archons.
Okay.
Yeah.
So shortly after this.
Yeah, very shortly after.
I wonder if that, having an episode like this where those ethical concerns were raised, regarding how space travel would affect a society that wasn't warp capable. If that, they had that episode and they're thinking, so how do we address this? And then that kind of rolled into the Prime Directive that they introduced in Archons.
This is also one of the first episodes that mentions something that happens between the year that they made the episode and the 23rd century, because they travel back and they talk about his son that leads the mission to Mars and everything, and so Star Trek is full of all of these things that they said happened that aren't happening, like the eugenics wars.
Yeah.
What's funny is
how
that,
disappointed are you?
What's funny is that from what I'm seeing right now, Tomorrow's Yesterday was actually supposed to be a two-parter, and it was supposed to be part 2 to The Naked Time.
Oh.
So this was supposed to be like a continuation initially. But then time
travel thing.
Yeah, but then Robert Justman went back and just basically went with the original idea of the story instead of like doing a tie-in, which it would have been kind of odd for the time to have a two-parter like away from each other, like that far apart.
Well,
in episodes.
they were in the same season though, so they could have aired them back to back.
But still, for the series itself, it would have been kind of odd to. But I guess they never really did air in production order.
Yeah, they aired a lot of things out of order. Yeah.
They weren't that concerned about that back then.
I'm looking at you, turtleneck uniform.
Corbin maneuver.
Yes.
And
where No Man Has Gone Before.
Where No Man Has Gone Before and Corbin maneuver. They were clearly early productions. But ended up later in the airing.
Yep. But another interesting little tidbit is that the second time that the whole slingshot around the sun thing was used was for another Patrick song, which was Assignment Earth.
Oh, okay.
That was because they revisited it in a later episode.
I just like to say this episode was far superior.
And that's when I think of Tomorrow's
The song was too.
When I think,
maybe come over there.
When I think of this episode, it reminds me of Assignment Earth, just because it has, that same feel.
Well, it's Earth and military and
but it's also a little silly. There's kind of a knowing wink that like we're just having some fun.
So a large portion of your lyrics are talking about the things that he experiences on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Like instant chicken soup.
Right.
Instant chicken soup.
What? Do you have anything to share about the thought process on?
I was just amused by something like that. We wouldn't even raise an eyebrow, but
right.
But he would, obviously. Yeah. So it's just looking at things that have changed since the episode came out.
Yeah.
It's been more than 50 years, and look at these advances we made.
Instant chicken soup.
Again, it was just really trying to capture some of the fun of the episode. Mm-hmm. The lyrics are a little throwaway, but in that same spirit. So that's what I was going for.
I don't know the throwaway. I mean, they're.
Well, I just mean they're not. It's not a serious song, Yeah. Just like the episode.
It's no Devil in the Dark.
But it is. I will say that it is very accessible.
It is. Yes, so, that's one of the things I loved about it.
Well, in the verses, it has clear like sing along, like catchy parts. The stuff that I harmonize on.
Yeah.
It's you hear a part of the verse in the second. Or part of a line, the second half of the line,
mm-hmm.
You jump in there and it's just really, really easy to catch on to.
It's a very catchy song, and it's a lot of fun to play. This is actually one of my favorite songs to play live.
It's fun. Yeah.
I like to play it too.
Yeah.
It stayed in the set list for
a long time.
Long time. It was always a staple.
Actually, there was a good like 3 or 4 year period where we opened every show with The Cage and Tomorrow's Yesterday.
The Naked Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We still put.
This is still certainly my most played Gear 2 song.
Yeah, we still put that in a rotation, in and out of rotation. We don't, like Naked Time. We played it forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
hardly ever play it now.
Yeah, now we hardly ever play it. But Tomorrow's Yesterday is always a good one.
It comes back every now and then.
And
we should do it tonight.
Want to do something.
And it's not hard to remember, really.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Except for that one Chicago convention where I forgot the words.
It's definitely one of the ones that we could just pull out of our ass on the fly and not really mess it up
too badly.
Yeah, because we played it so much that it's muscle memory.
It definitely ranks up there with like The Cage.
Yeah.
That we could just easily just kind of they'd be like they want another one. What we didn't practice any other ones. What do you want to do? And then it's always
we already did The Cage. Let's do Tomorrow's Yesterday.
Yeah, it's not like we're trying to bust out Conscious of the King or something.
Oftentimes when we're recording our songs, there are certain parts where we don't know exactly, like usually vocally, that we don't know exactly what we're going to do with it. So we do a few different versions. And in this one, I think there were probably 12 or 15 different uh-ohs.
All the weird little inflections.
Yeah.
It was an important moment to get right.
I remember a couple of, I'd hear a demo and I'm just like, no, that's not gonna work. That doesn't sound good.
It's like try not to be nearly as high pitched. Ow!
Yeah.
And then it's just like comes down like a register, and you're like, that's better. Okay.
Was year 2 the one we went over to your house and like mixed in your living room?
No, that was
together.
year 3.
No,
that was 3.
Was that year 3? Okay.
2, we spent a lot of time mixing at Noah's house, I remember.
Yeah, we were still in. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, year 1 and 2 and Tribbles were all recorded and mixed at Noah's. Yeah. So this is one of those. And I did a lot of the mixing at La Quinta.
At the La Quinta in Beach Grove, Indiana.
I would spend all night mixing at La Quinta, then I would go to Noah's in the morning.
What's your studio name for the credits?
The La Quinta?
I have no idea.
LQ Studios?
I don't think we mentioned it. I think we just listed it as whatever Noah's place was listed as.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha.
Noah, what do you play on that?
Play keys.
Yeah, you haven't said much, Noah.
What about the key part?
He's been on his phone.
Well, I've already established that
you play with one hand.
I play with one hand.
And he entertains the audience with the other.
So my other hand is free to entertain the audience.
So when you were coming up with that part for your one hand, can you go into
let me walk you
some deep detail about the thought process?
Let me walk you through my creative process.
Sure.
So what I typically do during that is like at practice.
I don't care about that stuff, man.
Right, so, well, that's what I do.
2 years.
At practice, I come unprepared, not having listened to the song.
Me too.
Okay, so then we start playing it, right? And I
playing it in quotes.
Yeah, and I can't really hear it, so I have to turn the keyboard amp up really loud. Which I think is annoying to everybody else. But I got to be able to hear the part over everybody else because I haven't listened to the song or written the part yet. So then what I do is with one hand, just the one hand, I press some keys, right? And sometimes they sound terrible. They sound bad. I'm not sure if there's some kind of pattern or order to how those keys are supposed to go or whatever, but I press some sound bad, some sound good, and I typically stick with the good keys, the ones that sound good, and I play those with one hand.
Except for those rare situations where you...
Yeah, I mean, there's this, in jazz, there's an accidental.
Where you need to spice it up.
Right, or I need to spice it up, yeah.
So Noah's talking
in
about
this
jazz.
particular situation, I pressed a lot of keys that sounded good.
Jazz keys.
Instead of bad. Yeah.
Not the brown notes.
Usually by the end of that first practice, you've got something that you can work with.
Yeah.
I do,
and actually
usually film yourself playing it, right?
playing it, yes. Yeah. And film my hand
so you don't forget it.
So I don't forget it.
Is this, do you remember, is this one of the ones that you did that with?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
You didn't really start doing that until like maybe year 3 or so, right?
Yeah. Especially when we just didn't have as much practice time to...
Interesting
really
story, Noah. All right, so...
You can cut that whole section out, right?
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
I think it's fascinating.
What about the drums?
I think a lot of people want to know.
Drums, actually, for the intro, I used a lot of my influence from the band The Mummies, and because they have a song called I'm Bigger Than You, and I just basically stole that floor tom intro with like the fill. I steal a lot. Okay, I'm influenced by a lot. I borrow.
Yeah, so you use words that don't sound incriminating.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, I'll let them know.
Oh yeah, we heard a song on the radio the other day on the surf station that has the exact part from Dagger of the Mind in it. By the way.
Oh, the burner.
Oh, you're talking about Out of Limits.
That must be what it is.
Yeah, that's totally what I was. But it's in a different key. It's not exactly the same, but it has the same feel and is very similar.
It was almost exact.
And let's just put the chord progression in Dagger of the Mind that Chris wrote is virtually identical. So
Dagger of the Mind, it's like 2 chords.
But that was very intentional.
So by the time we did Tomorrow's Yesterday, that was old hat for us stealing songs. So
yeah. Well, the bass drum beats are different from the Mummy's drum beat that I saw.
You got to change it up a little.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like word. It's like not like note for note.
Yeah.
I gotta hide my tracks. throw away at least one bloody glove. It's fine.
And no music is made in a vacuum, though. We're all influenced by different things. And or want to get a particular feel, like something that we've heard that we like or think it might fit. And that's just what you do when you compose. You just try one thing, and if it doesn't work, you try something else. And sometimes it ends up being uncomfortably close to something you've heard. Yeah. and sometimes that's on purpose, and sometimes it's
because it was
accidentally.
That was like especially true when we were doing the special single "Beam Down" for Vegas. What was it, 2016? I think it was.
Yeah.
The guitar intro that Patrick originally wrote sounded almost exactly like the theme from Friends.
Yes.
And we were like, you gotta switch that up just a little bit.
But the notes weren't the same. It just had a very, very similar feel.
Yeah. It was like almost the same cadence to it. It was like
yeah.
That was a very good one. We were like Mike and I especially. We were like, whoa, hey, hang on a second.
It was like if Green Day had played the Friends theme.
Yeah. And also that particular song was going to be heard by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So for Vegas, we wanted to make sure that it didn't sound too similar.
Too much like.
Yeah.
You didn't want to hear Ross yelling, "We were on a break" in the background.
I've got my notes from like 6 years ago.
Do you really?
Yeah. Only one thing we haven't mentioned yet, which is when we play it live, at the end of the song, we tag an extra little...
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, and Patrick says, "Oh well," and it ends.
And
it's not on the album.
I
Noah hasn't heard it since we recorded it.
So I remember when we were recording, there was a lot of back and forth and trying to decide whether or not to include the "oh well."
Right, because we did have that originally. We just decided ultimately not to have it on there.
Yeah.
So it just goes to the next song.
13 takes of the "oh well" too. That you then
Probably.
You finally scrapped it.
We'll have to get that session out sometime and look at it and see. But I remember trying to decide whether or not we should include that, and it was a not a huge controversy, but I think we were kind of split on it.
Was it on the demo?
band.
I can't remember.
I don't remember if it was.
I don't think it was. I think maybe when we were rehearsing it, we were like, we really need to have something to end the song, rather than just have it drop off. But then when we listened to the running order, it just sounded natural to go to the next song.
Just kind of flow into it rather than have like a hard ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next song is
Court Martial.
Court Martial.
Yeah.
What's the one after that? Archons, isn't it?
It's Western Swing,
Archons
guys.
next. Yeah.
Western Swing.
Western Swing.
Is it?
Yes, actually it is.
So do you remember any specific times that we've played it? That anything?
Tomorrow was yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned the Chicago convention where I forgot the words.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing.
Was that a Wizard World convention?
No, that was. That was more recently.
Was it the one at the Adler?
The Creation one.
Yes, the Creation one.
Yeah.
Oh, Creation Chicago. That's
That was on Sunday, and I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And I was having some hearing issues that day.
Was that the one where we just started playing it and we just kind of played on the
We just kind of fumbled.
We just kind of waited for you. Did we stop? I can't remember.
I don't.
I think I cut out some of the lyrics and cut sooner to the rock part of the song.
Yeah, okay.
And I thought you guys would follow me. You didn't follow me.
I don't remember.
I think you, Andy, and I couldn't really hear each other very well at that.
No.
Those kind of setups are always strange because the whole band is like packed in this
one side of the stage,
one tiny little area on the side of the stage, and we're turned down very low for the most part.
That particular stage was pretty small.
Stage, wasn't it?
No.
That was Nashville.
Oh yeah. That's right. What was this one?
This one, it was a very small
Creation
like
Star Trek.
Oh
convention.
yeah. Okay,
and we were all the way to the left, and they we set up, and they were like, "No, you need to be more," and we
I do remember
scooted even more, and I think at one point something fell off the side of the stage, either a person
Was it
or
you?
It might have been.
It was a person.
It happens about every third show. Actually, I remember this convention also because I met Denise Crosby.
Oh yeah,
and she
that's right.
asked us to write a song for her birthday.
Oh that's right.
After doing the George Takei song, so actually I was going to do that.
It's coming.
Yeah, I had started working on it, and we were going to play it at Starbase Indy when she was a guest there, and she canceled at Starbase Indy.
Oh right.
So she never got her birthday song.
That's right.
One of my memories of playing this song was when we played the Star Trek Exploring New Worlds opening at the Children's Museum here back in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Yeah, we're just recording in Kentucky.
Just a year ago.
Yes.
Yeah, it's about a year ago.
Yeah.
And, one that they used as promotion.
Yeah, they filmed us while we were playing, and then less than a week later, they had edited the video of us running through the exhibit, and then us playing it on stage in like their big giant atrium lobby. And yeah, I think that really helped reboost that song because it was from year 2, but we just played it last year, and then so many people got to hear it again, get fresh ears, and I think we actually did wind up selling more copies a year 2 after that, because I did see a few more downloads, and I saw a few copies getting ordered of that when people started realizing which one it was on.
That's probably the most memorable performance of that song because of the occasion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the main one I think of now.
I think we had some talk at the time about featuring a song that was so old, but it made sense since we were in this museum exhibit to do something that stood out.
Well, it was also another one of those where it's like it has a very distinct sound. It's very catchy, and then plus they were talking about editing video over top of it over our live performance,
right?
And that's one of the ones that we already mentioned. We kind of do on like autopilot a little bit.
We can, yeah,
because we've done it so many times.
It also isn't very long.
Yeah.
So
and it was for promotional purposes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because I think even the video that they made that they used, it doesn't even have the intro.
Yeah.
It just starts at the faster part.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Starts at the uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
Did we do this song on one of the morning shows? I can't remember if this is one that we did. I feel like we did.
I know we did.
I think we did it, and they cut off the ending.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and they cut it off at the end of the rock part of the song, which is fine. We didn't have the backwards tape effect, so he just
they
busted right in there.
They didn't understand.
That sounded like an ending. Oh, wait, they're not done. Crap! Oh, we're already a commercial.
We were playing for ourselves. Let's face it.
Indie style.
That's it.
That's right.
Did we do that 2 years?
Yeah, because we did it for year 1.
Yes.
Yeah, we did Naked Time.
And Miri.
Naked Time we did Miri, that's right.
Naked Time and Miri for the outro.
Yeah, that's right.
Which year did Mike and I sit behind the news desk like we were?
Year 1.
I think that was the first time.
The first time we were there.
We just snuck over there when no one was there and took the picture.
It's a great picture.
It is a great picture.
So, anything else to say about Tomorrow Is Yesterday? I think we've mined it as much as we can at this point.
For me, it was just a fun little experiment, and I think it kind of led into the more experimental process of making year 2.
Yeah.
So, I got a question for you, Mike, in regards to this song. When you started first working with the song, did you feel that this had betrayed your original vision for the band at this point, or had you accepted that we were going in a totally different direction?
Well, he didn't mention. No, he does mention Tomorrow Is Yesterday.
Tomorrow is yesterday.
That's right.
It's pretty much the chorus.
Yeah, between Patrick and Chris, it was just completely. It was off the rails completely.
So you had
welcome.
given up hope at that point, right?
Yeah.
You just settled in.
The project never returned to Mike's original vision.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's still year 5.
Yeah.
That's true. We could always make year 5 super ambiguous. Year 5, the non-Star Trek album.
We'll make it a black album.
Don't tell anybody else. Don't tell anybody else these songs are about Star Trek. By now, you should not have figured out these songs are about Star Trek. Nobody has to know.
So, we could talk a little bit about actual modern day Star Trek. Okay. Has everyone seen all the episodes of Picard?
No, it hasn't, I bet.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, did you watch it here?
Yeah, we watched it with Claude.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm all caught up. I know Picard is the bald guy, the older bald guy on the show. Figured that out.
And now you figured out that is Star Trek Picard.
That's Star Trek Picard, yeah.
Okay.
I thought episode 5, the one that aired most recently, quote unquote, was the best one since the premiere.
Yeah, I agree.
That's pretty good.
Well, yeah, because now they're kind of like on their quest.
Yes,
I guess
there were like 3 episodes of getting ready to quest.
There's actually sort of a team now in place, like
an ensemble that can play off of each other.
Yeah.
I thought
I really enjoyed the disguises in this episode.
Yes.
And Picard.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Picard's accent.
Yeah. I believe
his eye patch.
Yeah, Picard. I mean, back when they started TNG, he was supposed to be French, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't work.
Oh, was he?
It didn't work very well. Oh. I tried to do a French accent, and they didn't like it, so they just had him be British. But you know that ever since then he's wanted to do this ridiculous French accent for an episode, and he finally got the chance.
I find it hard to believe that they never had a holodeck episode on TNG where they allowed Picard to have a French accent because they did every other dumb thing on a holodeck episode.
Well, maybe he didn't quite have the star power yet.
I guess.
And the producers were able to put their foot down. Mm-hmm. But now he's got too much star power. He's a producer of Picard, and he can be like, no, I'm going to do it.
It's my time now.
This right here, this is my time right here. that back there.
That all ends the second we write up Troy's bucket.
A few more seconds and we'll be flat.
Now, did you guys notice the 2 Quark Easter eggs in this episode?
I only noticed the one. You told me about the other one.
Yeah, because Picard, not Picard. What's his name? Santiago. Yeah, he mentions that Mr. Quark of Ferenginar, but then
I heard him say Ferenginar, but I missed him saying Quark.
Yeah, he said Mr. Quark. Yeah, but then when they're first landing in what was the name of the place? Free Cloud. Mm-hmm. In the skyline, you can actually see a sun, like a neon sign for Quark's bar. So I'm wondering if Quark left DS9 and moved his operation down there, or if he's franchised. I prefer to think that he's franchised.
I would think that he's franchised.
Yeah. By this point, he's like, he basically wanted to be like the McDonald's of like the bar world.
Rom's living in Free Cloud, and he's running the Quarks there.
That makes sense.
Wait, Rom's the Grand Nagus. Why would
he's no longer the Grand Nagus?
Right.
Yeah.
He's been demoted.
Already?
Yeah. Brunt took over.
There was also
FCA.
There was Tranya drinking.
Yes, there was.
I
was very amused by that.
Yeah, they mentioned Tranya.
Yeah.
Well, it was also Tranya that knocked out Bruce Maddox, who we finally got to meet in person.
Yes.
And he didn't last long.
He didn't last long, yeah.
No.
Nobody lasts long on this show.
Oh yeah, hey, spoilers.
That was the same actor that played Bruce, right? Maddox. Is that the same actor?
What do you mean?
Was he on a previous?
Was he
The Next Generation?
Oh yeah, I'm not sure.
Did he work with?
Yeah, it was the episode with Data.
Oh, was it?
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, that was a Measure of a Man, right?
It was Measure of a Man, right? Is that the same actor?
I'm about to look that up if I can find him on.
He looks so.
IMDb.
I mean, he's so much older. I couldn't tell.
Soong.
Huh?
He talked about working with Dr. Soong.
Right. No, I mean I know it's the same character.
Oh, okay.
I was asking if it's the same actor.
Yeah.
I will say this is probably the first episode where the actor playing the pilot didn't make me want to call him Isaac, the guy from Heroes that paints the future.
Oh yeah. Man, that's a
Oh right. That is the same actor.
It's
isn't
him,
it?
yeah.
I knew I recognized him.
Yeah. It really bothered me the first time I saw him, and then it clicked who he was.
I never would have put that together.
I knew he looked familiar.
Yeah.
That's right. That's who he is.
I watched he died in the first season, didn't
Yes, towards the end, yeah.
Yeah.
he? Yeah. I watched the first.
Well,
some of the second season.
Sylar.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Heroes. Sylar kills him and gets the ability to do the vision.
I think
Right.
the statute of limitations has been reached on spoilers for Heroes.
Yeah. I mean, it is not the same actor that played him in TNG.
I was wondering that because I was looking at him, looking closely, like, is that the guy? Because it's been so long.
Yes.
I just couldn't tell.
Okay.
Well, then that's. I mean, I don't mind him so much, but this episode was a little bittersweet for me because I'm a huge fan of Icheb.
Yeah.
From Voyager. I really liked that character, and I was pretty sad to see him die so tragically.
Gruesomely.
Yeah.
But okay, which leads us to the return of 7 of 9.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, Holy crap. I want to know a little more of her background right now as, what was it, a ranger is what she was?
Yeah,
That's what they refer to her as, a ranger.
Okay, yeah, I want to know if there's like multiple rangers.
Well, it seems like there's
Sounds like it.
I don't know if it's like a dying off weird little faction that's hunting down.
Well, didn't they call her like the Angel or something? Was that? Am I making that up?
I think so.
Maybe not. Well, there's got to be multiple because she was. I mean, she talks like she's part of a
collective, kind of, almost.
Yeah, I mean, she does.
I don't know if it's like made up of former Borg that are going around trying to save all these people that are harvesting.
The other
technology.
Rangers are Harry Kim, Tom Paris,
Oh man,
Chakotay,
please,
Neelix.
Shush! Don't let that be true.
Naomi Wildman.
Oh my god. But no, I was glad to see her back, and I got kind of a badass.
Yeah.
Like quite the badass.
She also though is clearly damaged.
Oh, very much.
I mean,
yes.
she does not have the classic Starfleet sensibility.
Well, even in Voyager, she was a little bit like that, but she was on the path towards being
humanoid again.
It almost seems as if she's what
something has steered her in the opposite direction.
Yeah, the humanity that she regained, she's kind of stifling that a little bit so that she can. I wonder if she does that, just to justify what she's doing. Because she believes in what she's doing, but her methods are definitely questionable.
Very.
Yeah, this episode seemed like it took away a little bit of her arc from previous.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if this is just a one-off or if she's going to be back.
Yeah, we would need to know
I have
more.
a feeling she'll be back.
Yeah, and that's the thing I was about to say is I like that they left it open.
Yes.
So that you don't know like what's going to happen with her.
Maybe they don't know either.
Hopefully, hopefully we'll see her again because she was.
Maybe
a cool
she won't
addition.
be back till season 2.
Now remind me, she and Picard did not meet in any of the movies,
No,
right?
they've never
okay.
met.
Because that's the thing. A lot of people were asking online. It's like, how did they know each other? It's like, well,
There's been some time.
Well, no, well, it's also because
Voyager's pretty famous.
Well, no, it's because of Locutus of the Borg, and he was part of the collective.
Yes,
and he's the captain of the flagship.
Yeah.
And Voyager comes back with all that Borg tech.
Well, and also because like Picard immediately was like 7 of 9. Even though they hadn't met, but obviously within the collective hive mind of the Borg.
But they could have met.
They could have. They haven't really explained that away yet, but so far, like
he's-
the main theory is because of the Borg collective.
he's a
that's
little
how
bit
it is.
infamous too.
Well,
Yeah.
one would think that once Voyager got back,
That everyone on that ship probably
that everyone
was well known.
knew who Picard was.
Yes.
He would have known who everybody on the ship was, and he probably would have met all of the major players from Voyager.
They seem pretty familiar with each other, but they haven't really explained it away yet. But
I would be interested to hear a little backstory on their
how they kind of know each other.
And even if they didn't know each other, they clearly knew of each other quite a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap up this episode of 5-Year Mission, the podcast, a.k.a. for this one, another edition of What Are Little Songs Made Of? That's been Mike and Noah and Patrick and Chris and me, Fark.
Me Fark.
Me, Fark. You audience.
Me fart.
You tell people about this episode, as I'm sure you will. Anyway, we're going to go play a rock show. Actually, we're going to go eat dinner and then go downstairs into a basement and play a rock show for a bunch of people that have been drinking since 9 a.m. And it's going to be 10 p.m. when we hit the stage, so it should be an interesting one, like it is every year here at Concave.
See you next time.
Live long and prosper.
All that.
Fansets is your home for all things pop culture pin related. Head over to fansets.com right now. Right now, Mike. Can you go ahead and type in fansets.com for me? Hey, look at you typing away. They got all kinds of neat stuff over there. From Fantastic Beasts and Star Trek and Irwin Allen, Firefly, Aliens, Predator, Valiant Comics, and so much more. Head over there right now, fill up your cart. They got some new releases from Wonder Woman 84, which I'm actually looking forward to seeing a DC movie for once. But yeah, head over there right now. They got a bunch of new releases. They got a Star Trek Discovery episodic pins that just came out, a few other Discovery pins, a couple of new releases from Firefly. Apparently, by the time this airs, they're going to be making some new announcements for new pins over on Twitter. Apparently something to do with a Voyager Delta.
Oh.
So they're teasing it over on Twitter right now. So follow them at Fansets, all one word, and you'll be able to see what we haven't been able to see by the time this recording comes out yet. Fansets. Our pins have character. And we thank our friends over at Fansets for sponsoring this episode of 5 Year Mission, the podcast, and all the other episodes of all the other podcasts on all the other Trek Geeks network of podcasts. That was perfect. And if you head over there, you can get a discount, 15% off your order if you check out by using the discount code 5 Year Mission. That's the number 5 and Year Mission in all caps. Go over there and do it right now.
We have officially launched the 5 Year Mission Patreon. On there you can see posts with pictures and videos of behind-the-scenes shenanigans with the band and the podcast. There are different levels you can sign up for, where you'll get exclusive merch and videos and unreleased tracks and demos and other stuff from the band and the podcast that you wouldn't normally get if you didn't follow us on Patreon. The different tiers you get to choose from go from ensign all the way up to admiral, and one of the perks of being an admiral is that you get to be a producer on this podcast. This week's producers are Neil Carpenter, Debbie Rinke, Helen Lake, Carol Jones, Steve and Frankie Palopoli, Madison Rachel Jones, Becky and Roxy, and of course, Jim Morehouse. So head over to the 5 Year Mission Patreon right now and sign up as an admiral, and your name could be listed at the end of the next episode of 5 Year Mission, the podcast. Just go to patreon.com/5 Year Mission. That's the number 5 Year Mission.
Well, there you have it.
There you have it. We didn't actually listen to the episode in between doing the intro and then now this outro, but wow, we talked about Picard and it's been off the air for a few months now.
We did talk about Picard.
Like we said, it was in February. We didn't know what we were talking about then.
Yeah, we had no idea what was coming this year.
Right. Woof. But now everybody knows. Everybody's now heard this episode, which was most likely crappy audio of us talking about Tomorrow's Yesterday. So stay tuned for the next episode because we'll be back with who knows what. Oh, there goes the dogs fighting over bones, and so that's my cue to end this.
See you next time.
I sure want to leave. I sure want to leave. Thank you for listening to this episode of 5 Year Mission, the podcast. If any of you are interested in listening to more of our music, you can check us out on YouTube or Spotify or iTunes or pretty much anywhere that you can listen to music. Just search for 5 Year Mission and we should be the first thing that comes up. If you would like to contact us in regards to the podcast or anything else that you want to talk to us about, you can email us at 5yearmissionband@gmail.com.
And for more information about the band, you can go to 5yearmission.net and also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.